Hi, welcome to episode 1 of the Mocha Wave Talks. I'm Kathleen Cuyler, and here we believe that every girl who reads has her own magic. So, like I said, this is Kathleen R. Cuyler. I'm the English professor and CEO of Mocha Wave Publishing. And today is our first episode of Mocha Wave Talks. And with me, I have Virginia K Bennett, who has been cooking up something really special and amazing. So welcome so much. I'm so happy to see you and have you here to join us for this first episode.
Thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Because I think you are just an amazing author, and I've been so excited about the things I've been reading.
Well, I happen to be a middle school math teacher. I just finished my 22nd year teaching, and I also have on the side an editing and proofreading business. And at one point, I had somebody that came along that wanted me to work on a cozy mystery that they had written, and I thought, wow, that's interesting. I've never, really seen or heard of that genre, and I said, oh, I think I could do that. It's very mathematical. It's very problem solving. It's very left-brained, writing a cozy mystery. So that's where it all started.
Wow. I would have never thought of that as being like a left brain thing, but you're right. That logic, right? Having to get it all set, figure it out. Like making sure everything comes out the right way at the end. So that's amazing. Are you a cook, by the way? Do you bake?
I bake and cook a lot, and I always have. I've done, primarily all the baking and cooking, and I love doing it. But, when it came to the pandemic, I stepped it up and started learning how to cook a lot of things that we would otherwise get at a restaurant, or things that we would otherwise get at a bakery, and learn how to do those things for myself.
And if you haven't read any of her books yet, you won't know why I'm asking her that. But if you read them, you'll find out, because the Muffin series, which was the Cozy Cove.
Mysteries of Cozy Cove.
Mysteries of Cozy Cove. That has a lot of cooking. And I think the catch of the day, the North, I'm gonna get it wrong. Newfound Lake series also involves a lot of food, which is another thing that attracted me to your books, because I love food.
Me too.
I was like, I need to find someone who brings me fried pickles. That would win my heart.
Fried pickles was a carnival thing when I was younger, and there was a place near my college that sold fried pickles, and we would get delivery, and that was one of my fried pickles, fried mushrooms, things like that. Fried. So that was personal.
When I'm reading her books, I'm like kind of coming middle school squee type thing. I'm like, because it's just I feel like it's me when I'm reading it. I mean, it's kind of not me because I can't do all the awesome things that these characters do, but it's me the way I'd like to be.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
So that's both Mackenzie and Rebecca. I feel like there's certain aspects I'm a little bit about Mackenzie, a little bit Rebecca. So
I hope I am.
Well, we both have kind of reddish hair. I think one of them, both of them have reddish hair?
They do, and I don't know where that came from. I don't know why. But Mackenzie's is much more pronounced, defined, unique red, where Rebecca is a little bit more subtle, reddish brown, maybe.
Okay, which is appropriate for her occupation as a librarian, probably.
There you go.
Okay, so tell us, we talked a little bit about your books already because I got so excited, I just jumped right in there, but is there anything else you'd like to share about your books?
I don't know. It's, they're both based on places that I love. I grew up around Newfound Lake. That's where all of my homes were when I was a kid. That's where I spent summers. Where I go back to, where my parents still are, is 2 different towns right near Newfound Lake. And then the Cozy Cove series is actually based on real towns in Maine, southern coastal Maine. So a place that I vacationed for a very long time. So I sort of have that in my head when I'm writing it, and I think about my experiences from there.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the questions I had was are those real places?
So Newfound Lake is 100% a real place. And in it, I talk about places that really do exist like that you could drive to Newfound and catch of the day is based on a restaurant that you can go in and you can go, oh, wow, okay, there's the parking, there's the one-way street, there's the boulders, there's the sand. Like you could go and sit and eat there. And it's called The Big Catch. And so when I was writing Catch the Day, I was like, how can I kind of riff on the actual name, but also make it fit with a cozy mystery? So that series is really based on the town that I grew up in.
That is awesome. And
Yeah.
there's going to be probably some kind of tour eventually where you can go to the Virginia K Bennett tour and you go, get a sit here, look at the lake while you order this food.
I would expect there to be some promos coming up this summer of me taking pictures of at least my first 2 books in the places that they are inspired by.
That is awesome. I'm so excited about that.
Me too.
So as you're writing, what are some of the challenges that you face? Like that's a lot of our friends are writers too, and they're probably wondering like, how do I get over some of these challenges? So anything that you face or any solutions you found to overcome some of that?
So I'm split between a plotter and a pantser. So I probably plot the first book. I probably plotted about 75%. And then I just sort of went wherever it took me after that. Now I know I'm below 50%. I like to try to do about 2 days of planning where I go through and I do a lot of research on what do I want to name characters, names that are meaningful, places that I want things to happen. How is the victim going to be found? How is the victim going to be either, discovered, or what's going to be the catch? What's going to be the thing, the hook? So I try to do that in about 2 days.
Wow.
And then after that, I go through and say, okay, what's going to happen in, say the first half of the book by chapter, try to come up with names for chapters, things like that. And then I just start writing. And usually I'll get to a point and I will just start typing things that I didn't already plan or didn't already think of. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I'm pretty impressed with me right now. Because I didn't plan it. I didn't decide ahead of time what was going to happen. And last night I was writing and just went, oh, okay. Yep. Didn't see that coming. It's fun when it came out of my fingers and I didn't know I was going to write it.
That's amazing. I think that comes with, you've planned the character, you've developed the character so well in your head that the character's kind of telling you what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
Kind of takes a life of its own. I love that. That's really magical. And that makes it so fun to read because her style is just so good. It's so easy to read, but it's also fun. You find yourself stopping and wanting to make a little note like, oh, like I like that, or I really like what you said there, or something like that. So it's just a really fun, easy to read, but engrossing style, right? It really does engage your attention. So I like it. A little humor too. Like,
my thing really is that I wanted to write things that people could read before bed. And, if you sat down to read it, you could read it all in one sitting. You could feel that it had a satisfying ending and that you could go to bed and not be necessarily sucked into a 500-page book. I love a good 500-page book. Some of my favorite books, took a week or 4 or 5 nights of just nonstop up until 2:00 in the morning. But when you finish reading a book like that, and you're living in that book, you're living in that world, you can't just hop into another 500-page book that's this whole universe. And so somebody, I don't remember who it was, said that the books felt like a palate cleanser, that they would read them in between the big 500-page where you get sucked into a whole new universe and you end the book and you're like, well, what am I going to do now?
Right. And
I just thought that was such an interesting way to describe it. And I felt like, wow, I could really take that almost as like an insult, but at the same time, I didn't. I really thought that, but that's what I wrote it to be. I wrote it to be something that you could take to the beach and hang out long enough under an umbrella to actually get through the whole book. Right. And when you drove home, you were like, oh, I read a book and it was cute and I liked it. I enjoyed it, and not feel like you're bogged down trying to finish something.
Right. I can imagine myself taking like, I'm going to get a paperback copy of that pretty soon. I can imagine myself taking a paperback copy with me to like a restaurant. Like if I have to eat on my own, which happens a lot, right? You're sitting there by yourself.
Yeah.
You want to have a book there. You want to have your little virgin daiquiri with you right there. Strawberry daiquiri right there. And you want to have your food and your book. And you want to just something that you can focus on while you're enjoying your meal and just feel better about life, right?
Hopefully, I mean, hopefully I don't kill off someone that you loved or have, have the murderer be a character you really hope was coming back.
I haven't read all of them yet, so I'm my fingers crossed, maybe.
Well, and that was a really interesting factor when I was writing The Mysteries of Cozy Cove was when I wrote, let's say, book 1, and there was a character that I really liked, I couldn't just have them show up in book 2 because if you picked up book 2 first, you couldn't have book 1 spoiled. So I was very purposeful that if you wanted to pick it up anywhere in between, you could and not ruin a previous story.
How interesting. That's going to be interesting to discover as I go through and finish reading that and binge reading those.
Well, there's a couple characters that come back at, say, book 4 or book 5 that were in book 1, and that gives you sort of enough time to not spoil anything.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. So when you've already taught us a little bit about your process of writing, is there any specific writing habit? Like, do you have a special drink that you go to when you're writing, or do you have a special pet that you have around? What are some of your habits?
I usually write on the couch, and not on purpose. It's, my son sleeps upstairs, and so I try to stay out of there. And I have like the big one, fuzzy blankets from Kohl's.
Mm.
So if it's warm, the air conditioning is blasting and my husband's complaining that it's too cold because I want the blanket, which I think a lot of women in my age bracket will appreciate.
Sure.
But you really want the blanket, but you can't have the blanket unless the room is cold enough. And you will appreciate this if you've read Catch the Day, a lot of raspberry iced tea. And so Rebecca has a favorite raspberry iced tea, and that is very me.
I'm getting more into tea lately, so I'm going to grab me some raspberry iced teas really soon and try it out. I haven't tried raspberry iced tea, so it sounds really good.
It's my favorite, but anything raspberry and I'm pretty much sold. So
raspberry, that's the thing. So how would someone, now that they're all excited about your 2 series, how would they go about getting a copy of that or reading it?
Amazon, Virginia K Bennett. In order for me to have Kindle Unlimited, you can't sell the ebook anywhere else. So it is exclusively available on Amazon. And so if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's included. And then if not, right now, the first book of The Mysteries of Cozy Cove, Much Ado About Muffin, that one's on sale for 99 cents for the week. And hopefully people get hooked and want to read the rest.
Yes, I'm sure they will. I know that I did. And so now that you know how you're going to snag your copy, I'm going to show you what I thought. I read the first book in the Mysteries of Cozy Cove, and I definitely gave it a 5-star, and that's because I just really fell in love with that first book. It just really captured my attention. I just felt really comforted, and it was just what I needed when I discovered that. I was so excited, and I really like that advertisement. The cute little muffin on the side just really drew me in. Right there, again, 5 stars. You can't go wrong with this book because it's just, again, you just feel like you're right there, like in that picture in that cover. You're sitting there looking at the lake and you're enjoying a very interesting mystery along the way too. So please go ahead and go to Amazon.com, look up Virginia K Bennett and catch your copy. And thank you again for joining us on our first episode of the Mocha Wave Talks.
Thank you so much. Oh, this was wonderful. Really appreciate you having me.
Oh, I enjoyed it very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and everybody read her books, okay?
Thank you.